Hi there, my name is Marley and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be assigning book characters a zodiac sign. This is something I've done a couple times on my channel. I just think it's really fun to kind of analyze the book characters I've been reading about recently and choosing which of the 12 zodiac signs they would be. Just because I am pretty fascinated by astrology as well as books, so I kind of just like to combine the two of them in my videos. Definitely make sure to check out the previous two versions of this video that I did and subscribe to see future additions if I continue to do this. But basically I put 20 names of book characters that I've read recently into this mug, this Twitter mug, and I'm just gonna pull them out randomly and we're gonna kind of think about the character's personality and their traits, and I'm going to choose which of the 12 zodiac signs they would be. Disclaimer, there's some zodiac signs that I understand better than others just based on like the people I know and stuff like that. I obviously know my own signs better, the people that I'm close with, their signs better than some others. So sorry if I don't fully understand everyone's zodiac signs. But anyways, let's start this out. The first one we got is Bilbo from The Hobbit. So I actually just recently read The Hobbit, ironically for a video where I was reading books that were recommended for Tauruses. So I think it's pretty clear what I'm going to choose for Bilbo. But if you guys don't know, The Hobbit is a classic fantasy series. It is the prequel to The Lord of the Rings, and it follows Bilbo Baggins, who is a hobbit, and hobbits by nature like to stay home, have a simple life, just eat their food and gorge in good food and drink and stuff like that. And that is very much a Taurus. They are really homebodies, and they also do like to indulge in some of the finer things in life, like really good food and stuff like that. Obviously they're very stubborn and stuff as well, but I just think Bilbo would have to be a Taurus. I mean, I literally read the book for my Taurus vlog, which definitely check that out if you haven't. So I think it just makes sense that he is a Taurus. Okay, next up is Elias from Ember and the Ashes. Ember and the Ashes is a YA fantasy series, and Elias is the main male character in that book. He was raised to be a soldier in the society and to be a mask, which is the name of the soldiers. So he is raised to be heartless and tough and loyal to the government in this world, but he actually goes against that and just really believes in like justice and wants to actually take down this government that he was raised in. Interesting. Okay, so he's a pretty like passionate and emotions driven guy. I feel like I need to like pull up a list of the zodiac signs and just really look at all of them. I'm struggling so hard with this. Okay, honestly I find Elias to be a bit of a tough cookie to crack here, but I think I would assign him as a Virgo. Virgos are very analytical and practical, and I feel like that definitely fits for him as a soldier. He's pretty strategic and stuff like that, but then also Virgos are pretty kind and sympathetic and stuff, and I think that also fits his personality because he actually is a really good guy at the end of the day. So I'm gonna say Virgo for him. Then we have Vero from Finlay Donovan is Killing It. Finlay Donovan is Killing It is a comfy mystery about this woman named Finlay who is an author and kind of a struggling author and mother, and she ends up getting this proposition to commit a murder to get like a whole bunch of money, and she sort of considers it because she is so desperate for money, but she ends up getting into these crazy shenanigans regarding like a murder mystery story. So Vero is actually the babysitter for her kids, ends up becoming kind of like her best friend through the novel. She ends up tagging along in a lot of Finlay's shenanigans and troubles. Why do I always say shenanigans? But she is definitely a tough character. She's the more like strategic one compared to Finlay being the more chaotic one. She's definitely ambitious. Throughout the book, she is going to school to become an accountant, I think it is. So I think I would say, I know it's kind of just only doing earth signs right now, but I think I would say she's a Capricorn, because Capricorns are very ambitious, focused on their goals, smart and everything like that. So I think that fits Vero and how she is sort of the brains behind the operation in Finlay Donovan. And she's also very responsible, just like getting things done, taking care of the kids. So I think she's got to be a Capricorn. All right, let's see if we'll get someone that's not an earth sign. Next, we have Nick from The Extraordinaries. Yeah, definitely not an earth sign here. So The Extraordinaries is a YA fantasy series about Nick, who writes fan fiction about extraordinaries, which are superheroes basically, and he really wants to become one, and he really wants to fall in love with the famous, what is his name in the book? Shadow Star? Or is that the other one? One of the superheroes in his town. Nick is a bundle of energy, very chaotic. He is really outgoing, but very sweet. I want to say he is a Sagittarius. I was leaning a little bit towards Pisces just because he definitely does have his head up in the clouds a little bit, which is like Pisces, but I think just with how rambunctious and outgoing and fun he is, he would have to be a Sagittarius, who are known as kind of the life of the party, very outspoken and outgoing, as I said. So I think he'd be a Sag. Let's draw another one. We got Hideo from Warcross. I just recently read Warcross. It is a YA sci-fi / dystopian duology. I've only read the first one so far, but it takes place in this world where Hideo actually created this virtual reality technology that has just taken over the world, and it's called Warcross, and there is this tournament of games that takes place in this virtual reality every year, kind of like the Olympics. Yeah, Hideo is the one that created this technology when I think he was only like 13 years old. He's like a child genius. He is more of the quieter type, the quiet, mysterious type, but he is obviously very smart and very determined to be successful. So that gives me like an earth and water mixture, but especially knowing kind of something else that we end up finding out about him later on in the book, I think I would assign him as a Scorpio. I think the water sign in him is gonna win out. Scorpios are definitely known for being closed off with their emotions and stuff, and they're also kind of known as like the darker sign, and there definitely is a lot of darkness with Hideo. He is very emotions driven at the end of the day, which fits for water signs, who are the more emotional ones. All right, moving along, we got to, Rishi from When Dimple Met Rishi. This is a YA contemporary or YA romance book following these two Indian American teens, Dimple and Rishi, who end up meeting when their parents try to like have them be in an arranged marriage, but Dimple is very against that. But Rishi is very like loyal to his family and to traditions, and he does want to pursue Dimple at the beginning because of his parents, but then he does end up growing feelings for her. He's a very sweet, loving guy, and he is the more outgoing type, definitely more of the sunshine, as I consider this sort of like a grumpy sunshine romance. He is more of the sunshiny one. I think I would probably say Cancer. Cancer is one of the signs I don't know a ton about, but I do know that they are very loyal and caring, which definitely fits Rishi, and I would picture him as a water sign as well because I feel like he is really driven by his emotions a lot of the time. I'm looking here, it also says Cancers can be overly sensitive and moody. I think Rishi probably is a pretty sensitive guy as well, so he's gonna be a Cancer. Who is next? Nancy from the Wayward Children series. So Nancy is from Every Heart a Doorway, the first book in the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire. This is about a bunch of children who end up going to these magical worlds through these doorways, and then for some reason or another they end up getting rejected from these worlds and back to our world, and it's about them struggling to adjust to our world again because they were basically living their best life in these other worlds. So Nancy was in the underworld. She was really enjoying her time there, and then we see her coming to the Wayward school, the Wayward Children's School, and having to adjust there. She's more of a quiet type of person. She obviously has a darkness to her because she loved being in the underworld. I don't know, I kind of feel like giving her the sign Scorpio as well, just because she is so kind of closed off. She's kind of dark. Those are two words I immediately associate with Scorpios. No offense to any Scorpios out there, but I think because she is so private, but she is also like a very caring, protective person of the people that she loves, that definitely fits Scorpio too. So I'm gonna go with Scorpio for Nancy. Then we have Finlay from Finlay Donovan is killing it. So she's the main character from the series. As I said, she's more of the flighty of the two, of that duo with Miro, but she is obviously a very caring mother for her kids. She is also pretty determined to do well in her job. But yeah, I honestly think she's got a lot going on. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go with Gemini for Finlay. I think that fits her pretty well, as Geminis are kind of all over the place as well. They're pretty impulsive, which I think we could say Finlay is. She makes a lot of sort of rash decisions in this book. I also know they're pretty flexible and clever, which Finlay definitely has to be in this situation. She really has to come up with some clever little tricks to get out of all of the situations that get thrusted upon her, and yeah, she definitely has to be flexible to deal with all of that. So I think Finlay would be a Gemini. Then we'll do TALIA from Ember in the Ashes. So she is our main female lead in the Ember in the Ashes series that I already mentioned. TALIA is definitely that underdog that saves the world. Like, she is our chosen one hero that is given like a rough hand in life, with her parents passing away, her brother being kidnapped in the first book, all these sort of things she has to deal with, but she is constantly being brave and courageous and thriving and taking down the bad guys no matter what she has to do. So I think I'm gonna go with Aries for this. While she is a bit reluctant to lead, I think at the end of the day, this sort of character, this sort of archetype of the reluctant hero fits for Aries, and how they are very passionate, very brave, and very much leaders. I think a lot of main characters in these types of series would be an Aries because of that. Yeah, I mean, TALIA literally is fiery. Like, she is an ember in the ashes. So I think it makes sense that she would be a fire sign. Continuing on, our next one is Enchanted from Grown. This is a YA dark contemporary book following our main character Enchanted, who wants to be a famous singer, but she ends up getting in a abusive, inappropriate, and toxic relationship with this male famous singer who abuses his power over her. And it's a very dark and disturbing book, very much focused on Enchanted's experience with this trauma. Because she is dealing with so much trauma in the book, it's kind of hard to think about like who she actually is away from that trauma, but I think I would probably say a Pisces is my initial instinct, because she is a dreamer. Like, she wants to be a famous singer, which obviously is hard to do, and Pisces are very much dreamers. They have their own little fantasy world going on, which I think definitely fits Enchanted and sort of her imagination that she has in the books. Pisces are also very sensitive and caring, and I think that fits Enchanted, which we see especially with her relationship with her younger siblings. She's really caring for them and literally wants to do whatever she can to protect and support her family. So I think Pisces would fit Enchanted. Rhysand from ACOTAR, or A Court of Mist and Fury, or A Court of Thorns and Roses. I've only read the first 2 books in this series as a disclaimer, but it is a YA/new adult fantasy series about fairies. And this girl, Farah, who starts out as a normal human girl, but gets wrapped up in the fairy world and gets in a love triangle, blah, blah, blah. Everyone knows it. So Rhysand is the, what is he? The like high fairy of the night court, something like that. It's been a minute since I read the last book. He is basically like the bad boy in this series, but then, so you think he's kind of like evil and dark and mysterious, and then you find out, as you often do in books like this, that he actually has a softer side. He's actually really loyal and protective of his friends and family and his kingdom. I don't want to say Scorpio again, because we already had 2 Scorpios. Maybe, honestly, maybe Aries, because again, he's a king. Like, he is a leader of his kingdom. He's a very passionate guy, and I feel like he has a temper. Does he have a temper? I feel like I haven't seen that yet, actually. Maybe that's not true. I'm just gonna say Aries because I'm struggling. But it's a pretty diverse group we have here, so that's good. Then we have Darrow from Red Rising. So Red Rising is a YA sci-fi series that takes place on Mars, at least in the first book. There is like a hierarchy system, a colored system in place in this world. So the the highest in the society, I think, are golds, all the way down to reds being like the bottom tier, the lowest class. Darrow is of course from this class, and the whole series is basically about him rising up and trying to take down this government, like any typical dystopian book out there. Oh frick, he might be an Aries too. Maybe this isn't a very diverse group. You know what? No, I'm gonna have a bit of a hot take on this one, and I actually think Darrow would be a Libra, because Libras are very diplomatic. They want equality, they want what's fair and best for all, and I think that is ultimately Darrow's goal in his mission in this series. I have only read the first 2 books, but we definitely see him like understanding both sides, which is very common for Libras. I am a Libra myself. He's also very social. Libras are known for their sociability, their flirtiness, and I think Darrow is also pretty good at that. He really gets people to love him and follow him. He's very charismatic. So I think I'm gonna go with Libra for him actually. Now we have Seth from The Extraordinaries. So I already talked about The Extraordinaries series. Seth is actually Nick's best friend. He is definitely the quieter, calmer, more reasonable of the two. He definitely complements Nick well because of that, and he also kind of has some secrets in the book and some different sides to him that you wouldn't expect. So I think Nick would have to be a Cancer, which I've already talked about Cancers, but I think him being so caring and protective of his loved ones, yet also having this more like quiet nature to him, I think that fits. Then we have Emika from Warcross. Emmy. So she is the main character in Warcross. She is an orphan girl who gets wrapped up in the Warcross games when she accidentally hacks herself into the games. Hideo ends up approaching her and wanting her to be an undercover spy in the Warcross games to help him out with this mission. So Emika has had a lot of hardships in her life, and she has pushed through. She survived. She's a very intelligent hacker, but at the end of the day, she is a young girl and she still is pretty sensitive as well. Let's see, I feel like I would go with Virgo for her, just to go with the analytical, intelligent thing. I feel like she would probably be an earth sign, but then I also see Virgos as a little bit more meek and quiet or shy, which I feel like Emika is. She's not like super fiery or anything like that, so I think a neutral sort of Virgo would fit for her. Then we have Eve Brown from Actor Age Eve Brown. This is the 3rd book in this romance series by TALIA HIBBERT that follows the Brown sisters. Eve is Eve is very cute. She's a fun character. She definitely struggles to figure out what she wants to do with her life, so she's had a bunch of different odd jobs, and then when her parents give her a bit of an ultimatum, she ends up going out and finding this job as a chef at this B&B, and she does not hit it off with the owner, but they do end up falling in love. But I see Eve as like a very fun, kind, yet chaotic character. So honestly, Aquarius is one of those signs that I don't know super well, but we haven't had one yet, so I think I would maybe put Eve as an Aquarius. I do know that they're very unique and creative, and I think Eve is definitely a unique person. I'm seeing here that they're also very optimistic and self-reliant, which definitely fits Eve. I feel like she always finds optimism in like the trickiest situations, and she's obviously very self-reliant as she has had like trouble with her career and her love life, but she still is getting by and figuring it out. In this book, she gets cut off by her parents financially, and she has to be very self-reliant. So yeah, we're gonna put Eve as an Aquarius. We're getting down to the last few. Now we have Helene from An Ember in the Ashes. She is our like 3rd main character in that series, which I've already mentioned, and she was Elias's best friend growing up. She was always very, very loyal to him and was secretly crushing on him as well. But when Elias kind of goes off on his own adventure, she is more of the character that like stays loyal to, I can't remember the friggin' name of this government, and I'm reading one of the books right now, but she stays loyal to the end to this government that they have been raised under, and kind of moves up in the ranks and becomes a very powerful and dominating person. So I feel like considering that, she would have to be I think she would be a Capricorn, just because she does have that sort of stone cold resilience and determination to meet her goals. I was thinking an Aries for her, but I don't think she's as like fiery and hectic as an Aries, so I think she would have to be a Capricorn. Now we have Tamlin from ACOTAR. I feel like I don't know this guy's character super well, but he is the king of, what is it, the Spring Court, and he's the one that ends up kind of kidnapping Feyre and bringing her to the fairy realm. And at first he seems like a really kind guy, but you definitely find out that he has a darker side to him and he's not the best guy. So I kind of want to say Taurus for Tamlin. I'm torn between like a Taurus and a Leo. I know those are like very separate things, but I feel like I don't have a great grasp of Tamlin's character, and that's probably why. But I feel like Taurus, because I do feel like at the end of the day he is very stubborn and really just wants what he wants and doesn't really consider other people's opinions. And I want to say he's like a homebody, but I guess that's just because he was kind of like trapped in his world or in his kingdom in the first book, so maybe that doesn't totally fit him. One of the reasons I was thinking Leo is because I feel like he's sort of like selfish and just does kind of want to be the center of attention and center of people's worlds like Feyre, but I'm leaning more towards Taurus just for that stubbornness. But let me know what you think in the comments if you know who Tamlin is. Alright, and to finish off the ACOTAR trio, we have Feyre, the main character who I've mentioned. I kind of want to give her a Libra assignment. I feel like she is, again, very like social and charismatic. She sort of wins people over in whatever kingdom that she's in. I feel like she's also has that diplomatic side of her and really wants equality for everyone, considers both sides as she gets to see all of the different sides of the fairy realm and all the different kingdoms. I feel like Libra is a sign that would be common in these main characters because they really do just want what's fair, what's equal for everyone, and really want justice. So I think that fits for Feyre. That's really all I can picture right now. And if I gave Rhysand Aries, Libra and Aries are actually each other's opposite and they work well as a couple, I think. So who is left? Who is left? Kenna from Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Okay, so Kenna is a young woman in her early 20s who gets out of prison where she has been for like 5 years due to this horrible tragedy that she had caused, and she is trying to get her daughter back as she gave birth to her daughter when she was in prison, so she never was able to have a relationship with her or care for her. But now that she's out, she's really determined to become a better person, get her life together so she can be that mother for her daughter. Kenna. Kenna's one of those characters too that has like so much tragedy surrounding her that it's like, who is she really underneath all of that darkness that's happened? I want to say maybe a Gemini for her. I'm thinking of that impulsivity as she makes some not ideal decisions in this book regarding her daughter. I feel like she is a little bit impulsive with that, and obviously with her decision that she makes that leads to her going to prison was a pretty impulsive, not great decision. But then if you think about her before the accident and before the tragedy that ends up happening, I feel like she is a pretty like fun, smart person. She comes from not a very good background with her upbringing, so she really was on a good path before what ends up happening. So I'm gonna go with Gemini for her. And who is the last name that I put in here? It is of course Dimple from When Dimple Met Rishi. We already talked about Rishi. Dimple is sort of the opposite in Rishi in a lot of ways. She kind of wants to go against her family traditions. She doesn't believe in arranged marriages. She doesn't even really believe in marriage. She wants to do her own thing. She's very independent. She's very determined and smart as she goes to this technology program. I think it's like a computer engineering, computer programming program. She's very advanced intellectually. So I think considering that, I would go with Aquarius. Like, she's not like other girls. She's very clever and unique, does what she wants, and doesn't like to be put in a box, you know? I think that really fits Dimple. It says here that Aquariuses can be enthusiastic and active while others can be calm and sensitive, and I think she would be more of the enthusiastic an active type of Aquarius. So there we have it. I have sorted these 20 book characters into zodiac signs. I don't think we had any Leos this time around, but I think we had every other sign. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any thoughts on this, if you want to counter any of my suggestions that I had, and I'll see you guys in my next bookish video next week. See you then. Bye.